Right, good morning guys. In the next couple of videos we are going to be concentrating on how to use a knife, and we are going to concentrate on knife safety as well as some of the basic skills that we need in our classroom. I do want to tell you that my camera that I'm using is stationary, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get the angles right, so please bear with me when you see the camera moving, and I will try and get it into the position as quickly as I can. Today this video is going to concentrate purely on knife safety, and then the following videos are going to concentrate on some basic knife skills. Right, the first thing that I'm going to explain to you is how to carry your knife. Now, I use a chef's knife, and those of you who know that I use chef knives in the classroom as well, because I think it's a very important skill for you to learn to use the proper knife for the job. Obviously, all different knives have different functions, but this one is the easiest one to learn chopping and dicing and your basic knife skills. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to learn how to hold the knife. You are going to take the knife by the handle in a firm grip, and when you carry your knife, you are going to carry it by your side, point down towards the floor. The reason for this is if the knife falls or you trip or something, the point of the knife is closest to the floor and it's not going to hit anything on you on the way down. Also, please remember that you need to wear shoes in a kitchen to make sure that your feet aren't damaged. If you do drop the knife, that the point of the knife will not go into your feet. Please make sure that the sharp side of the blade is facing backwards, so that again, if you fall and you let go, the sharp side of the knife will be flicked out and away from your body. So please make sure that you hold it in the correct way. I want you to learn to be confident with a knife, guys. The more confident you are with your knife, the better you will get at it. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about just with knife safety. Now, my knives are incredibly sharp, and I have them professionally sharpened every couple of months, but I also use a knife sharpener in my kitchen every time I use them to make sure that they are very sharp. And the reason for this is that a sharp knife is actually safer than a blunt knife. A sharp knife cuts, whereas a blunt knife slips. And although the knife is what I would call blunt, if it slips off something and your finger is in the way, it can actually cause a worse cut. With a sharp knife, the cut is very clean and very sharp and very quick. But I'm also going to teach you how to keep your fingers out of the way so that cuts are kept to a minimum. When you are chopping and food gets stuck on the blade, please always remember never to curve your finger over the blade to wipe it. So if you are going to use your finger to get the food off, please make sure that you are holding your knife at a downward angle and that you sweep the food down off the blade. Never curl your finger around the edge of the blade. Okay, very important. It avoids cuts on your fingers. You are also going to make sure that you hold your knife correctly. Now, one of the things that is very difficult to get to grips with is to not hold your knife like this. You do not have as much control over your knife when you hold it like this. So I'm going to try and move the camera up just a little. And the reason we want control over our knife is that we want to make sure that we have complete free motion, but that we also have the power to be able to chop and dice through harder vegetables. So you are going to hold your knife with your index finger on one side and your thumb on the other. So you have got your index finger and your thumb on the knife. You are then going to grip with these three fingers and those go over the handle. So you've got your thumb, your index finger, and these three fingers are holding the handle of the knife. The reason for this is that you have got a complete straight line between your wrist going all the way across the handle. You can use your wrist and the power of your wrist to push down on any foods or vegetables that you are chopping. You also have a very good control over the motion of your hand and the motion of your knife, especially this one, which is a sliding motion, which is what we are going to use for most of our vegetables. It does take a little bit of time to get used to the grip, but please try and be aware, and every time you see your finger going up, please move your fingers so that they are holding the knife in the right way. There are times when it is easier to pop your finger over the top, but most of the time it is easier to do this motion. Right, the next thing we're going to concentrate on is our board. Now I have boards that have got a rubberized edge, and this rubberized edge prevents the board from actually moving when I'm chopping, so that it becomes a safe surface to chop on. When you have a board that doesn't have that edge, it is very easy for the board to slip. And when you are trying to chop and use your knife in the correct way, you are being unsafe because you are trying to keep the board still as well as keep your fingers out of the way. So please make sure that if you have a board that is slipping, to use some of the following items. Now you can either use just a paper towel, wet it, pop it underneath the board, and as soon as it's wet, it will then hold your board in place so that you have got a safe surface to chop on. You can also use one of these cloths, also wet it, pop it underneath your board, and your board will not move. Right, now that we've got a safe work surface or work area in our board, please make sure that you are aware of where you place your knife. Never place your knife on the edge of a counter because it can be knocked and that's how it falls on the floor. Either place it securely on the side of your board or place it above your board when you are not chopping. Always store your knives properly. I have a magnetic rack that my knives go on, but in the classroom I have a block, and the knives all go into the block before and after every lesson. They are counted back in so that I know that all the knives are back in the classroom. Right, and lastly, I'm going to show you how to wash your knife. It is very, very important to never ever put a sharp knife into a sink full of soapy water. It cannot be seen, and what happens is when you are looking for dishes in the soapy water, you can grab the knife and your fingers can get cut on the blade. So please make sure that you put your knife to the side of the sink so that it is never out of your sight and you know exactly where it is. When you're ready to wash it, you're going to pick it up with the handle. You are going to make sure that the sharp side is away from your dominant hand, from your washing hand. You're going to take your cloth. You can dip your knife into the water to get it wet. You are then going to use your cloth and you are going to wipe the blade up and down, making sure that you have got both sides clean. You are then going to hold it in your palm, wash the one side of the handle, turn it over, wash the other side, make sure that everything is clean on the knife. You are then going to place it onto the side of your sink to make sure that when you dry it, it is nice in a nice and secure and safe environment. Guys, you are now going to, after all these lessons today with basic knife safety, there are worksheets for you to fill in, and I will show you each worksheet after each video. So this one, we are going to be doing the knife safety worksheet, and that worksheet I think is page 5 in your books, but it is in your books. So please make sure that you fill out that knife safety assessment, and it does need to be signed, this time not by me but by an adult in your house.